If someone has an individual assignment and they're low on fatigue, she'll tell you if there's holes in your wings. There's a bunch of different things that she'll tell you. This is not affected by how well the werewoman thinks of you. Regardless of her opinion of you, she will make this report, and she'll make this report about once a turn. So this is a nice little convenient thing for if you forget something. She'll tell you, to go back and catch up on things that you might have missed because you've been too busy, you overlooked something. So this is a nice little event that happens. So this next event, this also appeared in version 2.0. This is a boycott, and this is kind of a nice little flavor thing. It's an interesting event. What happens is that one of the holds that are weir-bound to you. I just can't get that cursor. Ancient Plateau, Meadow, Cove, Mineshaft, Paradise, River, Lost, or Palisade. What will happen is that they will decide not to send their tithe to you. Remember, tithes are supposed to be given to the weir twice a turn. But this event just happens any old time. But it only happens during the 10th interval. This doesn't happen during the 9th interval. It certainly doesn't happen during the 10th pass. But they will decide not to send their tithe to you, and you have to decide what to do about it. So as you can see, Meadow Hold has refused to send its tithes to Ancient Plateau Weir. The jerk. I protected them all throughout the pass, and this is the thanks I get. So I have to decide how I'm going to respond to that. I can do nothing. I can send a delegation, negotiate settlement personally, enforce through Lord Holders, or enforce with dragons. What this means practically is that you have to respond in a way that the holder will, I guess, respect. You have to match your response to how he views violence or strength. So if he's a timid fellow, you don't want to barge in there with a bunch of dragons. The game wants you to do nothing. If he's respects strength, then yeah, send a bunch of dragons to him. So as you can see, when it comes to violence, there are 5 different kinds of character traits that the personality can have, and there are 5 different choices that you can make. You have to match your response to how he feels about violence. If you get it right, you can actually get a bump of about a point from the person who refused to send the tithe. If you get it wrong, then all the holders will respond negatively to you. So if you got somebody who's a bit timid, and you send a gang of lord holders down on him, or send a bunch of dragons, all the lords and holders are not going to respond very kindly to that, because they think you're trying to intimidate him. Likewise, if they kind of respect strength and you do nothing, they're going to see that as weakness on your part. So unfortunately, you have to kind of remember what their view is about violence. And fortunately, since it's only 7 holes that you have to worry about, it's pretty easy to just take notes and just keep that off to the side. But that is how that is how you respond to a boycott. This next event, it's actually a pretty good event. Therefore, it's the rarest event in the game. Fortunately, it's not so rare that you'll never see it. But it is going to appear less than some of the other ones. This is where your weir receives a barrel of bend and wine. See just here, Ancient's Plateau Weir receives a barrel of bend and wine. So you have 2 choices. You can give it to your Dragonriders, or you can give it to a major personality. If you give it to your Dragonriders, all your Dragonriders will receive a good bump to their morale. If you give it to a major personality, you can only give it to one, and you'll get about 1 or 2 points increase in their opinion about you. Maybe. Remember, there's always a chance that you won't receive any kind of bump, but you can get up to 2 points. Now, generally, I give this to my own Dragonriders because I get more benefit out of that. But you can give it to a master craftsman. That's especially useful if you're trying to replace one of your weir craftsmen, so you want to bump up the opinion of a master craftsman in order to increase your chances to get that request approved. Conversely, you give it to Dragonriders, and then you can send them out to increase the morale of your weir craftsmen, or if you want to send them on negotiations or something like that. So like I said, generally I give it to my Dragonriders. every once in a while. I don't think I've ever given it to a major personality, but like I said, it is good for master craftsmen. And if there's somebody out there who despises you, maybe some Bend and Wine will change their mind. So I'll give it to my Dragonriders, and then we'll take a look at the profile. See, I've got some a nice morale. I don't remember what it was beforehand, because you never know when this is going to come up, but you do get a nice little bump in the morale. So that's how Bend and Wine works. It's a nice little event. I just wish it wasn't as rare as it was. And of course, there is that other event that pops up every once in a while. That is Threadfall. Now, Threadfall in the 1x versions is a lot different than the 2x. So I'm going to describe the 2x version because it's a lot easier, and you really should be playing 2x. In 1x, there's a lot of menus you have to remember. Some of the commands are a little different. The commands are all the same mostly, but to access them is a lot different. You got to type in one, and then the wing maneuver, or the wing, or the character number, and things like that. It's a lot easier when you're doing it with the mouse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the 2x version. You should be playing 2x anyway, so go and get 2x. So the first thing that you see is what hold is under attack. In this case, it's Meadow Hold. Now this is important to know because, as you saw in the character descriptions, everybody has a different view of Threadfall, and how well you do keeping the thread off the ground will affect how their opinion changes after you get through fighting thread. Each time Threadfall is done, the game will go through and adjust everyone's opinions. Now, there is a different formula that is used for the hold that is under attack. I don't know exactly how the formula works, but I do know that for everybody else, it's what their opinion of thread is that will affect how much their opinion will change, depending on how much you kept off the ground. That doesn't seem to hold true for the hold under attack. For the hold under attack, it just seems to be the more thread you keep off the ground, the better their opinion will be, and conversely, the more thread you let through, the worse their opinion will be. There's none of that variation based on how they feel about thread. It really just comes when your hold is under attack. I guess you feel differently than if it's someone else's hold under attack. So just know that there's a different formula for the hold under attack. So it's important to know who's under attack. Now, Threadfall only attacks a single hold. You won't see this change during Threadfall. It will only attack a single hold. So it won't go from Ancient's Plateau to Meadow, then drift over to Lost Hold. It'll just be this one hold. The next line is whether the weir is prepared or unprepared for attack. Now this time I'm unprepared for attack. That's very bad. That means there's a greater chance for thread to slip through. So you definitely want your weir to be prepared for an attack. These next lines are the wind and weather. Winds are light, moderate, heavy, and suddenly I can't think of the other one. I think it's very heavy or something like that. But this affects how much fatigue your wings will sustain when they attack thread. The heavier the wind, the more fatigue you'll get. The weather, there's clear, fog, dense fog, and misty, and that will it's clear, misty, foggy, and dense fog. Let me be precise. The more fog you have, the more injury you will take. I know for those of you who are really zeroed on the books, dragons can see through fog. For some reason, riders cannot. They don't touch their dragons, and so there's more injury. So here, there's more injury during dense fog. This, as you can see, this is the wing profile. This is the exact same thing. Here's how many holes you have in your wing, and this S stands for status. There's only one status. That's if they need Firestone. I'll get that to you in just a second. This is what level they're on. There's 4 levels, 3, 2, 1, and there's a dash. That means free flight. What this means is that, as you can see, there's a level 3 for thread. This is how many threads are on each level: level 3, level 2, level 1, and grounded. So what will happen is the computer will decide that it wants to attack a clump of thread on level 3, and it'll try to pick one of these wings that are on level 3. If it doesn't find a wing on level 3, or if it doesn't find a wing within a certain number of tries, because you could have 5 wings on level 3, but if it doesn't randomly pick that wing in a certain number of tries, it'll just go grab any other wing that it could find. So there's level 3, level 2, level 1, and free flight. Free flight means that the computer will not pick it unless it's picking a wing at random. So remember your thread fall formulas. Grounded, of course, there's nothing you do about. Once they're grounded, they are there. Sheeting, this is how the thread is falling. There's 4 different ones, and for some reason I just can't remember what they are, but this affects both how quickly the thread will fall, and you'll see this number go up pretty fast right here when it's sheeting, and when it's light or sparse, you'll see it'll slow down. It affects how well you catch thread and how much injury you'll get. So this is kind of like the wind and the weather all together. So, but remember, these are different attributes. There's winds, there's weather, and then there's sheeting. So if you got dense fog and a sheeting fall, you're doomed. This is the wing maneuver. This is what you start out with, standard V flight. Now what this does is you can change these to augment and degrade an attribute. So this top line is for fatigue, injury, and success rate. Now we'll go all into that in just a moment. Starting with version 1.5, you're able to auto-calculate thread fall or fight it yourself. That's really, really convenient, especially since once you start getting into a pass, some of these thread falls can be pretty long. In version 1X, they can be really long. Starting in version 2.0, they limited it to like 350 or something like that threads, and this could lead to a pretty long fight. And in 1X, when I think it got up to 1,000 or something like that, you can get some really long fights. So being able to auto-calculate thread fall is really, really nice. Another change in version 2X was that in the 1X games, the game would start out with only a little thread. The thread fall would not last very long. I think it would start out about 50, and it would just keep going up and up and up and up and up until around the 10th turn or 15th turn, where you start getting these. It would max out, and it would stay there for the entire rest of the pass. So you could be seeing these really super long thread falls even in turn 48, 45, or 48 or 49. They changed that in version 2X, where it will start out with a light thread fall. It will peak around the mid of the pass, turn 25, and then it will start going down, tapering off as it gets toward the end of the pass, just like the books say will happen. So that's a nice little change. But again, auto-calculating is really, really nice. Just remember that the computer is not as good a thread fighter as you are. So if you're unprepared, you don't want to do that. If you have low experience or you have low fatigue, you don't want to do that either. So as you can see, I've got some pretty low fatigue, so I probably don't want to be auto-calculating thread fall, but I'm gonna fight it just so you can see what it's like. Now, unlike the 1X versions, you can't stop the clock in 2X, so I'm gonna have to like pause the film, as it were, and just take some screenshots. I'll try and do that. So you may see different versions of thread fall because I'm stopping and starting, in order to show you different things. So I'm gonna start the fight. And here you click and hold the left button to issue commands to your weir. In the 1X versions, you just enter the command number and the clock will stop, and you can start and you can enter your commands. See, I'm already not doing very well. So let me okay, yeah, man. Let me go ahead and give you the commands. See, it's because the dense